Good morning, Year 2. It's lovely to see you all. I hope you're ready for another fun lesson of writing. It's been so good to see your story so far, and I can't wait to see what happens in our problem section of our story. Now, today's special feature is going to be adverbs of time. But what is an adverb of time? Well, they tell us when or how long an action happens. Okay, so when or how long an action happens, and many of them end in ly, just like our normal adverbs. Now, here's a selection of adverbs we're going to be using as we warm up before we start our write. Now, we're going to be coming and drawing on this bank of words as we go along. As I read them out, I would love you to join in and jump in with me as well. Ready? First, next, then, later, finally, afterwards, immediately, the next day, just after that, in the morning, after a while, before long, all of a sudden, eventually. And you can see a number of these are ending in ly. Okay, they're all explaining, adverbs of time are all explaining when something happens or how long it took. Now, let's begin with this picture, and I can see a knight here. I hope you can see him too. He's been on a long journey and he has arrived at the castle. But how long would it have taken? Well, I can use one of my adverbs of time to tell the reader. Here's my sentence so far. The knight could see the castle. But how long did it take? Now, I want to tell the reader that his journey has taken a long time. So I wouldn't necessarily want to say immediately the knight could see the castle, because that would make the reader think that he had a short journey. I want to say finally the knight could see the castle, because that explains that the journey has taken a long time. Let's look at another example. Here we have a beautiful picture of morning in a fairy tale village. Now, I want to use an adverb of time to explain when this happens. My sentence so far says, the sun rose and it was morning. But when did the sun rise and it was morning? Well, I know it's going to be in the morning time, but I might want to explain about how quickly the sun rose. Now, I don't think it's going to happen eventually or after a while, because the sun rises really quickly. So I want to say all of a sudden the sun rose and it was morning. Nighttime lasts a long time, and very quickly the sun rises and it's suddenly day. You might want to say suddenly. That's another adverb of time that we use lots. I wonder what you would choose. Here's our next one. Again, we've got our bank of adverbs of time here. My sentence so far says, they reached the top of the mountain. I've got two boys who have reached the top of the mountain. Now, I want to tell the reader how long it would have taken them and use an adverb of time. So how long would it take for these boys to climb the mountain? Pause me now and have a think about which adverb of time would fit well and explains how long you think it would take. Okay, I think it's going to have taken the boys a long time to climb the mountain. I don't think it will be all of a sudden or just after that. I think it's going to take them a long time, so I'm going to say eventually they reach the top of the mountain. And again, I wonder what you thought fit best. Now, here are our adverbs of time. If you want, you can come back to this page and you can pause it when you're writing. It might help you to spark some ideas and be inspired. Okay, now that we've gone through our adverbs of time, we're going to use them in our shared writing. If you want to independently write your problem section of the story, then you can skip to the end of the video where you'll find a slide with the steps to success and a model text. But if you would like to see that handwriting practice and have a look at sharing some ideas with me, then follow on and watch the shared write. Okay, first step. What happened when they arrived? I'm going to say that as soon as they arrived, George climbs Mystery Mountain so quickly. So I'm going to say George climbs the mountain. The mountain. Oh, going to have to write quite small there. Whoop. Second step. Who do they meet and fall in love with? Well, it's the Queen's invitation. So I'm going to say that George falls in love with the Queen when he catches up with her, because she's going to be really quick at climbing the mountain. So I'm going to say the Queen. Why do they leave? Well, again, I like how in our fairy tale the clock strikes 12. So I'm going to say again that the clock struck 12. And what does he leave behind? I'm going to say that he ran down the mountain so quickly that he left one of his boots. Okay, I'm ready to write. Now, this is following on from when the pixie came and helped George. So I'm going to say soon after that. That's my adverb of time. It's when it happened. Soon after that, George arrived at Mystery Mountain, and everyone's going to be amazed because he climbed it really quickly. I'm going to make sure I'm going to use a simile here and say he climbed it as fast as a cheetah. So soon after that, George arrived at Mystery Mountain. Capital letters. Mountain, and everyone was amazed. So I'm using that conjunction there, and everyone was, past tense, amazed. Because, another conjunction, he climbed it as fast as a cheetah. Climbed it as fast as, that's how I start my similes, a cheetah. I wonder if you can fit a simile in your writing today. So, my adverb of time was soon after that. First step, complete. Next, who do they meet and fall in love with? Now again, I can talk about when this happened. So I'm going to say, and use an adverb of time, immediately. And immediately he caught up with the Queen, and soon they fell in love. So let me start here. Immediately, big capital letter, but I might have to write quite small just for this bit. Immediately. He caught. Now again, it's not catch, the past tense is caught. He caught up with the Queen, capital Q, and they fell in love. And is my conjunction joining those two parts of a sentence, and they fell in love. Full stop. Fantastic. Next step complete, and I use that adverb of time immediately. Now next I need to say, why do they leave? Well, I can say that after an amount of time, I think it's going to be 12 o'clock. So I'm going to say later. That's going to be my adverb of time this time. Later, the clock struck 12. And he knew he had to leave the mountain before his family got home. Later, the clock struck. Now I'm going to write the number because I'm in my writing lesson. 12. And, do join it together, those parts. And he knew he had to leave the mountain. He had to leave the mountain before his family got home. Okay. Now, what's my last step? I can underline this as well. What do they leave behind? I know that he leaves behind his boots. So I'm going to say that as he's running down the mountain, he eventually got home, but he was in such a rush, he didn't notice that he had left one of his boots behind. So, running down the mountain, go George, go. He eventually, now then again, that's my adverb of time because it's telling me when it happened. He eventually got home. He was in such a rush, he didn't even notice that he had left one of his boots behind. He was in such a rush that he didn't even notice. Poor George. That he left one of his boots behind. Okay, now I'm going to read it again because it's really important that I always read back my writing. Soon after that, George arrived at Mystery Mountain and everyone was amazed because he climbed it as fast as a cheetah. Immediately, he caught up with the Queen and they fell in love. Later, the clock struck 12 and he knew it was time to leave the mountain before his family got home. Running down the mountain, he eventually got home. He was in such a rush that he didn't even notice that he left one of his boots behind.